What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Zoe, No Days Off DFS, back to bring you guys an NBA slate breakdown for the huge. We got a massive slate today. I want to say it's 12 games on the dock. Looking over here on DraftKings, let's see, we got 11 games are being covered over here on DraftKings. Looks like they've cut off some of the late night cap, which is going to be that Philadelphia and Portland game, which more than likely is going to be a blowout in regards to Philly, considering that Portland, they did what they were supposed to do for me yesterday, but the Bulls did not. Not even gonna talk about that. Anyway, if you guys are new here, welcome to the channel. Sorry I've been gone the past couple of days, but your boy went to go watch the Charlotte Hornets, who might be the new Brooklyn shitters, get their asses blown out and handed to them by the Houston Rockets. It was still great. It was fun going down there to go watch the game with the wife. Got to go on the court, got to get like legit real up close to the players. I got to see like Jabari Smith Jr. was, when I say this close from me, got to actually talk to the guy. Same thing, Reggie Bullock, Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks in person is just as mean as what he actually looks like. No interaction with the fans. Not like this dude, straight locked in. My wife kept calling him the psycho kid the whole time we were there, just from the way he was acting and everything. Şengün, he got some swag to him. Yeah, Şengün got some swag. Freaking Jalen Green, got an autograph from Jalen Green. I don't have it with me right now, but got Jalen Green to sign some it was like one of his cards and stuff. But it was an amazing experience. And say all this, do all this just to say, if you guys are playing DFS, you're playing prize picks, props, whatever the heck it is that you're doing, make sure you take out some of those winnings and go treat yourself to a nice event. Go treat yourself to something, because besides just betting on these players, getting to actually see them up close in person, things like that, it's an amazing experience. That's awesome. I definitely, if you have never been to an NBA game or a football game, anything like that, I would definitely advise it. It is really a good time to go do. You know, you don't got to break an arm and leg to go and do any of this stuff, like, at all whatsoever. And you know, we can go over some tips and tricks whenever you do go to a game, buy you some of the cheaper tickets, but move yourself down to lower bowl, especially if you get to the game early, those type things. But anyway, we're going to go over the NBA slate for today. A lot of games, a lot of injury news and stuff that we got to pay attention to, but nonetheless, we are going to go ahead and we're going to get this done on the day. All right, so first off, starting out, we got the Clippers taking on the Cavs. No real news to report over here for the Clippers. For Cleveland, they're expecting to get Evan Mobley back. Pretty sure he's going to be on a minutes limit, probably around 20-ish minutes or so. Donovan Mitchell, fully expecting him to play. Other than that, they're still without Garland. Tristan Thompson serving his suspension, and Ty Jerome. Don't even know what the heck Ty Jerome was doing. New York Knicks, they're going to be without Julius Randle. He had a dislocated shoulder. Not too sure how long he's going to be out, and they're still without Mitchell Robinson. So we are going to see a shift in the starting lineup. More than likely, we will see Josh Hart probably slide into the starting lineup. That is definitely something to pay attention to. And OG, he could slide down to the power forward position. Wouldn't knock it if they did, but definitely something to pay attention to. We do know they do like that defense and the upside that Josh Hart has. Definitely would be an interesting play right there if he does start. Over here for Charlotte Hornets, Melo, he's nursing an ankle injury. Missed the last game. Want to pay attention to see if he's going to be in or out. If he's out, they're going to start Ish Smith again. Some news that we should get before the slate starts. For the Pelicans, nothing to report for them unless they decide magically they want to rest Zion or something like that, but fully expect him to play. For the Boston Celtics, KP, he's dealing with either ankle or some type of soreness, possibly something like that. But with Luke Cornett, he's doubtful to play. Al Horford, questionable to play. It's going to be interesting to see if he'll be in or out. If KP's in, he might log some pretty decent minutes out there, especially considering the size that the Pelican has. So I really do want to pay attention to that, because he's in a pretty decent spot if he actually is going to play, especially with some of the backup bigs being hampered up or injured. For the Phoenix Suns, Nurk missed the last game that they played. His thumb, he left the game, I want to say Saturday or Friday early due to his thumb. So something to note and pay attention to. Yesterday, they went ahead and they started Drew Eubanks. If he is going to get the start again, might be a decent value play, but we will need to get the news on Nurk if he's going to be in or out. And over on the other side, Miami, no news. They got Terry Rose there. He's starting at that point guard position. Decent spot. If they put his assist again right around 4.5, take the over. He's getting more acclimated to being in a starting lineup. The pick and roll is looking pretty good with him and Bam. And I do like the upside for Terry Rose there if they continue to put his assist at like that 4.5. I hopped on that the last time they played. Easy over on that one. Utah Jazz, no news for them. Brooklyn Shitters, no news except for Ben Simmons might be back today. They are targeting him to possibly be back today. If he does, we're fully expecting him to come off the bench, probably play about 15-20 minutes. Other than that, Brooklyn Shitters are Brooklyn Shitters. The Lakers taking on the Houston Rockets. Biggest thing, LeBron James and Anthony Davis, of course, game time decision as always. AD, he's been dealing with an Achilles soreness. Now, we've seen this before with KD when they kept on talking about the hamstring, the Achilles, the calf, and then boom, pop that Achilles. Definitely want to pay attention to that. They might possibly could rest AD, but he's been playing so far. Same thing with LeBron James. Just something to pay attention to over here for them. For Houston Rockets, nothing really we got to worry about over there. Probably one of the best games of the night is going to be Washington taking on San Antonio Spurs. Spurs been playing pretty good over the last couple games. Washington is Washington. Possible game, stackable game right here if you guys are looking at fantasy points or any type of props you can actually take from this. And I'll tell you straight up, out the gate, when I get to that game, the exact props that you want to look at to possibly take the over on if you are going to play anything from this game. When I say fantasy goodness, this legit should be a fantasy goodness type game, especially if you're going to fully game stack it, especially from a prop perspective. Some really good props you can probably take from this. Minnesota taking on OKC. Mike Conley, game time decision. Need to know if he's going to be in or out. If he's going to be out, then of course we already know. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to slide into the starting spot. For the Thunder, no news to report except for the fact that they got their asses handed to them by the 5 and whatever the hell Detroit Pistons yesterday. And I'm not even going to start on the Detroit Lions losing that game that they had completely in check. I get it going for it on fourth downs. They should have kicked the field goal. I'm not too sure if kicking the field goal would have helped them too much, but it definitely would have at least softened the blow for what they would have had to actually come back down and do. Immense pressure, but nonetheless, I mean, it was a decent game until they completely just fucked it up. The Kings taking on Memphis. Nothing to worry about over here for the Sacramento Kings. Everyone's actually playing, and Fox is looking like Fox of old, finally, after his last couple games. Over here on Memphis, they are still dealing with a whole bunch of injuries. Luke Kennard, game time decision. Want to pay attention to that. Orlando taking on Dallas. Marco Fultz, he's been back, and he's been starting, which has been a pretty nice sight to see. Over here for Dallas, Dante Exum, game time decision. Derrick Jones Jr., game time decision. Other than that, Luka, the fireball, Doncic, he's still good to go, good to play. Probably one of the best players and best spend up on the slate, especially considering the guy can go out here and still drop 75, 80, especially for the fact of they are without Kyrie Irving still. Over here on Milwaukee, Giannis, fully expect for him to play. Denver, no news that we got to worry about over here on that side. And then, of course, don't got to worry about this last game. I'm not even going to worry about it or touch that one. Going over to DraftKings, the site that I play the most on the site. If you guys don't have an account, you want one, check the link down in the description below so you guys can get that deposit batch bonus and join me over here on the King. All right. Starting out, Washington taking on the San Antonio Spurs. So straight up out the gate, if you guys are looking to stack this game as a possible prop spot, I'll tell you straight up, you can take Tyus Jones, take his assist if you're looking at that. Daniel Gafford, fantasy points scored for him, especially if they keep him underneath 30 fantasy points. Definitely be the upside will be there for him on that. Wemby, you can take his dunks or you can take his 3 points made. He's been hitting his threes actually over the last couple games pretty good. Jeremy Sochan, his rebounds and assists. Devin Vassell, his assist normally is sitting around 4.5. I would still take the assist on that one. Trey Jones, this is the GPP option that you could take right here, and that would be his fantasy points scored or his assist, but I would lean more towards possibly his fantasy points scored. Pretty good upside. Kuzma, didn't mean to skip over him. You can look at his points as one or his points and rebounds. And Denny Avdia, if they keep his fantasy points scored under 30, probably right around 25 to 26, I would take his fantasy points scored as one that you could take. But really, honestly, a lot of stackable options that you could do over here in regards to making a full game stack slip for this. As soon as the fantasy point props actually come out, I'll be dropping a full list of those because really been killing the fantasy point props. They've been making them kind of a little bit soft and been able to take advantage of those. So definitely will be on the lookout for that. If you're looking for that, check the link down in the description below for the Patreon. That is where all that will be posted. But really pretty good game that you can actually game stack from that perspective. Now heading over here, looking at it for the breakdown for the slate. This is actually, it's not the first game. Slide back down. New York Knicks taking on the Charlotte Hornets. Like I said, for New York, we do need to know who's going to slide into that starting spot. But with Julius Randle being out, Brunson, if the Charlotte Hornets can somehow, somewhat keep this game competitive right now, let me pull up DraftKings so we can see the Vegas totals. All right, right now this game is sitting at a 8.5 point spread, of course, favoring New York Knicks. So maybe we might actually see Melo play. Not a high total by any means necessary, but still a decent spot that we could take, especially considering that one of the main usage players in Randall is going to be out. With that being said, Brunson at 9.3, it is a bit expensive of a price. I do like some other high price guards, but we do know without Brunson, without Randall, without, of course, RJ Barrett being shipped off, the usage should be there for Brunson, and possibly if this game was to get out of hand, could be on the back of a pretty good Jalen Brunson game. Outside of Brunson, I will, of course, have some interest in OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, especially if he gets a start. Really great spot for him. Defensive upside if he can get his blocks and steals going, and if he actually does carry an offensive load. Looked pretty good in that last game, 14 points. points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists going up against Miami. 32 minutes, really good. We know he's a pretty decent fantasy point per minute producer when he is out there on the court. At 5'4", really would be really great for him. Off the bench, though, if you do think the game kind of gets out of hand, Quentin Grimes would love him. He's been playing some pretty decent minutes over his last couple of games. Back-to-back 20 plus fantasy point type games for him out there. Really great spot for him at really good value that we can actually get to 3,700. We know the rotations are going to be a little bit different, especially without Julius Randle being out there. Outside of that, not too heavy on anything that you got to go to over here for the New York Knicks. On the Charlotte side, I will say, even if Melo plays, I have no interest in playing Melo. I do think it's going to be a little bit of a tougher matchup. Could see some OG Anunoby defense, considering he will be the main person that needs some type of defending out there, considering the upside that he has. And he's struggled over the last couple of games. Detroit, don't understand why he really struggled right there. Houston, watched the game live. They were swarming him, played some pretty good defense, and he just was not able to get anything going. And if that ankle is actually bothering him, or is it hamstring? Yeah. If the ankle is actually bothering him, maybe he might still be hampered going into this game right here. Not too interested. Brandon Miller, he struggled over the last 2 games. Looked kind of poor out there. That Houston game, completely horrible. Picked up literally 2 fouls real quick in the first quarter. Left him out there. Picked up that third one, and he was pretty much just done. Didn't really get his burn and run. Against Utah, 37 minutes. Took him a minute to get going. 0 of 7 from 3. He definitely could bounce back in this game, but not someone that's high on my radar. Outside of that, the main one I would actually say it would be Cody Martin, sitting there at that 4.4 price tag. 29 minutes against Utah, 26.75 fantasy points. Not a bad floor or upside for him. I wouldn't mind going down here to him. And then if Melo was to miss, then you are going to have some interest in Miles Bridges and PJ Washington. Both of those have some pretty decent upside that you can get to. And if you want to tickle the whistle with Ish Smith, I don't mind, but not a must play for me by any means at all. Clippers taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. This should be hopefully a close game, a decent game for the Cavs. If Evan Mobley is actually back, that is going to mess with some of the other players like the Karis LeVert, the Max Strus, Georges Niang. Like, those minutes are going to fluctuate for those bigs and those power forwards, the small forwards and stuff like that. Jared Allen, I think that he's actually kind of priced appropriately at 7.7. Like his upside that he actually has been playing very well. Even with Mobley being back, I would imagine with limited minutes, his rebound upside is still going to be there for Jared Allen. The putback, the rebounds, all those things, we know that the Clippers, they play somewhat decently big with Plumlee. Jared Allen should be able to take advantage of Dice whenever they have him actually out there. So I don't mind Allen at all at 7.7 if you want to get a piece from this game. Donovan Mitchell, with him being questionable, 9.7. Again, I'd rather just go ahead and play it for like a Luka or something like that, or some of these other guards in a better spot. Not necessarily too heavy on Donovan Mitchell. You're going to be dealing with Paul George defense out there, Kawhi Leonard off of any type of switch, things like that. And I mean, not a spot that I really want to go to. Over on the Clippers side, again, as always, I would just look at them, see who's going to have the lower ownership, take a chance on that whenever it comes down to the big 3. My boy Beastbrook, he's been getting the minutes, getting some decent run. Blowout game right here going up against Boston. Only played 15 minutes, but was pretty decent. Fantasy point per minute production when he's out there. And as you can see, Russ has been balling over his last couple of games. You can take a gamble on that, but out of all of them, Terrence Mann at 3.9, we know he still starts. Been playing pretty good, 20 plus fantasy points in 4 out of his last 5 games. If you want some value from this game, Terrence Mann would be the one I would look to, if anything, or one of those bigs that I was talking about. One of the big 3 over there for the Clippers. I don't like Harden actually, so really would be between Kawhi Leonard and Paul George if I was to take anybody from over there. The Pelicans taking on Boston. Long as KP is in, if he's in, I really do like the upside for KP, especially with Al Horford being a little hampered up and no Luke Kennard. Only played 21 minutes against Miami, 27 fantasy points in that game. It was a blowout game. They beat him 143 to 110. So upside definitely could be there for KP if he actually gets his minutes. I do like the upside, really do like the price tag, 7.7. So you could see getting between him or Jared Allen could be a choice that you can actually make right there in that price range. Other than that, you can mess with Jason Tatum at the 9.2 or Jaylen Brown. His price is 7.8. Seems like his price really truly has come down. Mixing pot in regards to what we've gotten from him from over the last couple games. Not anything special to me. The one player I will have some interest in, and I think is a bounce back candidate that we can go to, is going to be Derek White. Last game going up against the Clippers, played 24 minutes, only dropped 13 fantasy points in that game. As you can see, 3 out of his last 5 games, he's at least dropped over 30 plus fantasy points. I do think this is a bounce back spot that we can actually attack and go to with Derek White, sitting at that 6.7. as I've always said, I trust Derek White more than I do Drew Holiday. The upside is definitely there for him, and I do like Derek White over Drew if I was to take anything from over here. And then on the Pelican side, nobody really sticks out as a must play or anything over here for me. I could take a GP chance on Zion sitting at 7-3. The game stays close. We have actually seen him get some pretty decent burn and run in those close type games. We know the upside is definitely there. He's really rebounding pretty decently whenever he actually decides he wants to. Playmaking from that power forward spot, kind of playing a point forward, if you will, out there. I don't mind Zion, but he's not a must for me at anything. Honestly, nobody from this game is a true must. Nothing really truly sticks out in these first 3 games, except for that New York value that we could possibly get. Utah taking on the Brooklyn Shitters. Start with the Brooklyn Shitters over here for them. The moment that I want to trust any of these guys, they're legit going to go out here and lay a dud, just like Spencer Dinwiddie did to me the last time I played him. Going up against New York Knicks, 19 minutes, 5 fantasy points. Back-to-back games after that, 32, 35 minutes, back to his 30 minutes ways, 21, 29 fantasy points. I just cannot trust the Brooklyn Nets, especially Ben Simmons coming back. He's going to mess with the rotations. We've seen it. Cam Johnson, he's been playing pretty well over his last couple games. Of course, 14.5 against Minnesota. It's Minnesota. Everyone plays bad versus them. Mikal Bridges has been very active, just been going off over his last couple games. Of course, I just can't trust it, especially with Ben Simmons coming back. I'll say he's going to mess with that power forward, small forward, center rotation for them. If I mess with anybody from over here, it can be Claxton. He's been pretty consistent. Don't mind Claxton from the Shitters. That would be the only player that I can honestly endorse from over here. And then if you want to take a GPP chance on Cam Thomas, he's looked very good over his last 2 games, 39 and 46 fantasy points. Other than that, I just cannot trust the Brooklyn Nets. Now, another team who I thought I could trust, Colin Sexton. I'm going to have to talk about this. 17 minutes against Washington, the last piece that we needed in that game stack of that day. 17 minutes. I just cannot with this. 25.25 fantasy points. Was playing pretty good too in that game. Next game against the Charlotte Hornets, 35 minutes, 54 fantasy points. What did I do to deserve that? What did I do to deserve the cap in the minutes? And of course, I've seen people commenting talking about, oh, you know, Clarkson's back. Why would you think he would get his minutes? Because even with Clarkson being there, he had been playing the minutes. It didn't matter that Clarkson was back. They had been playing him. He's been playing well. There was no reason to bench him. And the game was actually still pretty close against Washington too. They still had all their starters in there in the 4th quarter. You still had Collins out there. You still had Larkinen out there. You still had they put Chris Dunn back out there, but you didn't put Colin Sexton back out there. Only downside that I had, and I just can't. But looking at it, really great spot for Colin Sexton going up against Brooklyn Nets. I like his upside. Love him here in this spot. Don't mind going right back to him. And then John Collins, of course, as long as the dude keeps himself out of foul trouble. Of course, you do have to worry about him splitting minutes with Walker Kessler. But 5'9", not a bad price tag at all whatsoever. The upside is definitely there. We have attack centers going up against the Shitters. We'll continue to do that. A little sneaky prop, if they actually put it up on the board, I will tell you, look at either Lauri Markkanen dunks or Nick Claxton dunks as possible plays. If they got Lauri Markkanen at like a 1.5, won't take it over. You can take it at 2, but don't take it at 2.5. Definitely will take that. Markkanen, surprisingly, he does dunk. He does dunk quite a bit. And then the same thing on the other side for Claxton. We know how he gets offensive putbacks, especially going up against John Collins. That should be an easy field day for him to actually get his dunks as well. If they actually have him at like a 1.5 or a 2, we'll take the over on that. You're either going to get stuck with a push or he will go over on either one of those. So 2 plays that you can possibly take right there in regards to dunks. I know, really weird prop to actually even consider. Matter of fact, looking at Prize Picks, they don't have fancy points or the dunks and stuff up just yet. So something to pay attention to. All right, Phoenix Suns taking on Miami. This game should be a decent game, close game. If it is, hopefully it'll be Devin Booker just going off again. He's been playing really well over his last several games. As you see it, 81.25 fantasy points, 58 fantasy points in the last 2 games, 36 minutes against Orlando. Really great game from him, 44 points. He's definitely doing a lot in regards to the scoring aspect. We've seen the other players, KD, Beal, they kind of have taken like a back seat. This could be one of those spots where we see KD actually pick it up. I will say yesterday, KD did not have the greatest game in the world. 37 minutes, 26.5 fantasy points. This is definitely a bounce back contention spot for him here, going up against the Miami Heat. I don't mind KD as a possible play to just get a little bit of GPP exposure to this, but I will say Devin Booker, really great spot for him going up against Miami. We've seen opposing point guards, even with Terry Rozier being there, have actually had pretty decent games going up against them. So I do like the upside for Devin Booker right here. Bradley Beal be my second fiddle going between this big three, 6,800. Haven't had that big 30, 40 fantasy point game from him in the last 2 games, but this is definitely a spot where we could actually see that. We do know Beal's going to at least play about 35 to 36 minutes out there for him, and at 6'8", pretty decent price tag to actually go ahead and get him at. On the Miami side, like I've said, Terry Rozier, he's still going to acclimate to the team. I will say they want him to be more aggressive, get downhill, actually attack, look to score a little bit more, but he's doing decent, trying to fit into the role and play there. I would take him as a GPP option, but not anything that's a must. I will say Tyler Hero, do like the upside for him. Not having to really do too much in regards to that ball handle responsibility anymore, but he's still jacking up his shots, taking his threes, things like that. If we actually can get a pretty decent shooting day from Tyler Hero, he can pay off that 6'7" price tag. But outside of that, Bam Adebayo, if there's no Nurkic out there, Drew Eubanks, not scared of that at all. The rebound upside, the points upside, it's just kind of a lot of mouths to feed over here for Miami, but still, Bam, Hero, Jimmy Butler, all these guys, they all still have their role solidified. They're just trying to work in Tyler Hero. I will say out of all of them, this will be one of those games that I would expect Jimmy to get up for, going up against some studs on the other side in the Phoenix Suns. So Jimmy Butler, I don't endorse playing Jimmy too many times, but this is one of those times I will say, Jimmy, decent matchup, going to draw either that Grayson Allen or possibly they might put Kevin Durant on him to defend. But we do know Jimmy, whenever it comes down to playing other studs, he will play up at 7'6". I guarantee you Jimmy will be sub 10% owned. No one's going to want to click on that name at all whatsoever. I mean, when you look at this picture, do you really want to even play this player? No. So Jimmy Butler, upside, definitely will be there for him. Do like him as a low-owned option. I'll say everyone else over here, Jaime Jaquez, Duncan Robinson, all these other guys, Highsmith, their prices not really kind of adjusted to having Terry Rozier being there, the minutes being distributed and all other stuff. Unless you see this game blowing out, I wouldn't mess with any of the bench guys over here from Miami. They do still run a pretty decent rotation with those main starters and things out there. So yeah, going over, Sacramento Kings taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. Over on the King side, honestly, both studs, Sabonis, Fox, really great spot. Fox being at 8'8" after he's actually kind of bounced back and been playing really well. Good spot to actually jump on him at a decent price tag. We do know that he is one of those 9K and up players whenever he's on a slate. And the matchup going up against Memphis, who's riddled with injuries, who we have seen opposing point guards have had really great games. And if Fox is going to stay in that downhill, that attack mode, looking to score and do what he actually does pretty well, I love this upside here for him in this game. Definitely will be a great spot. I will say if they put his 3-point attempts still got him sitting at like the 7 to 8 mark, I would take the under on that. He's not really taking a lot of threes. He's been getting more to the cup and scoring that way and getting himself to the free throw line. So the upside for Fox in that regards, I would actually take that over anything. Would be the under on his 3-point attempts right now. Just looking at it. Outside of that, you can take a GPP stab as a bonus. We have seen, of course, they've been playing Jaren Jackson Jr. at the center spot. Still, opposing centers have smashed going up against Memphis. You can't take Sabonis. We do know he has triple-double upside. He can actually get the assist going. I know he's going to be able to rebound pretty well, get his offensive putbacks, and do just play his game. Block upside, that could be there for Jaren Jackson Jr. But the way Sabonis plays, I can see some foul trouble for Jaren Jackson Jr. here in this game. Do like the upside for Sabonis at 10-2. Probably, not even probably, will be one of those lower-owned studs on today's slate. But the upside, actually, I really do actually like that. Outside of that, I can't even believe that I'm going to endorse this dude. But I cannot ignore what he's done over the last 3 games. 41, 53, 38. He's looked different over these last several games. Scoring at a crazy clip. Hitting it from 3. Just hitting his regular shots. He's rebounding. All the things. Harrison Barnes, I cannot believe I'm going to endorse and say play Harrison Barnes. Other than Harrison Barnes, I don't mind my boy Keegan Murray. He's been playing very well, and he gets the burn and run no matter how the game state is going on. And if he's not getting a shot, he's been taking a decent amount of threes. As long as that's actually flowing, he's been very well on the defensive side. I can, see some defensive upside here for him. I do like the floor that he actually presents. At least could probably get us about 30-ish fantasy points in this matchup. So the upside is definitely there. But value play currently right now, looking like Harrison Barnes at 4,800. The matchup is really good for him going up against the Memphis Grizzlies. And I cannot ignore what he's done over the last couple games. If he's hot, he's hot. I might as well just go ahead and ride with that. Washington taking on the San Antonio Spurs. I do imagine this game will be stacked, or at least a good chunk of ownership will come from it. Especially Wemby going up against Washington. You're going to tell me Daniel Gafford's going to try to go out here and defend this. The kid's been balling. He's at least not even at least, his minute limit has been bumped up to 30 minutes. We could possibly see another threshold be hit with him, that maybe we can get him bumped up to 32 minutes finally. But either way, he's putting up a really great fantasy point per minute production when he's out there. 50 plus fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games. The upside is there. He's scoring, he's rebounding, he's playmaking, and he's also got the defensive upside with his blocks and his steals. And what better team to go up against and have that than going up against the Washington Wizards? Let's see. Last game when he played going up against Washington, he played 28 minutes in that game and dropped 50 fantasy points in it. So again, like I said, the upside definitely going to be there for him. This should be a pretty decent, fast pace back and forth type game with some defense played. I'm not going to say it's going to be a no defense type game, but really do like the upside here for Wemby. And outside of that, honestly, it's kind of a pick your poison out here. Kuzma, Vassell, Tyus Jones, Denny Avdia, Daniel Gafford, Jordan Poole, Tyus Jones, all of these guys. It's kind of hard just to choose which one you want to go with. Right now, Wemby kind of looking like a staple that I'm more likely going to try to find a way to get to in my lineups, just because I know the floor is pretty safe, especially with this matchup that he has going here. Outside of that, I do like Daniel Gafford. I mean, we've seen opposing centers have had pretty big games going up against the Spurs, and he's been balling 3 out of his last 5 games, at least 30 plus fantasy points, and the upside should be there for him in the matchup, as long as he can keep himself out of foul trouble. Kuzma will probably be my GPP option. I can't see myself getting too much going there. Tyus Jones, he's been playmaking at a pretty decent clip and also scoring pretty decently as well, and I do know that the defensive upside can be there for Tyus. Outside of that, Trey Jones, when he's getting the minutes burn and he's actually playing that point guard role again, the playmaking is there for him. The fantasy point production is there as well. And we do know he brings some defensive upside as well. So I don't mind him. Poole, he'll be your GPP option here. We know Poole, he's very much up and down in regards to what he can actually go out there and give us. And let's see, Poole, when he played going up against them, earlier, he played 29 minutes, gave us 25 fantasy points. So really, honestly, is the GPP option here. Not by any means a must for me going up here. And then, of course, Cho-Chan, we got to talk about him. I will say, actually, Marvin Bagley will definitely be someone I can see myself playing over Kuzma, over Poole and all that, because he's a really good fantasy point per minute producer when he is out there on the court. You're going to give him about 20-ish minutes, 20, 22 minutes. I do like the upside for him. Possibly can get him as a low-owned play on the slate. And I wouldn't mind him as value because he is hitting that 5K range that I look to for my value plays, 5K and below. So I definitely can see myself going with a Marvin Bagley if I do. But outside of that, really, Wemby is the top play for me over here on that team. And everyone else is going to be all a bunch of second fiddles. Minnesota taking on my OKC Thunder. This is the battle for the #1 seed over here in the West. Both teams legit drop games, which just doesn't make any sense. The Timberwolves, they've recently just lost going up against the Spurs, who are one of the worst teams in the league. And then, of course, my Thunder, they dropped the game against the trash can Pistons without Cade Cunningham. Just doesn't make any sense. And speaking of, Cade got ruled out 2 minutes before the game started. Horrible. I cannot stand the injury reports and stuff that they do out here in the NBA. It's stupid. But outside of that, of course, point guards or guards, period, going up against Minnesota have all had pretty decent games. I do like the upside once again for Shea. We do know he can go out there. He's going to put it on him. 37 minutes last time, 48 fantasy points in that game. Love him here in the spot. If Mike Conley is ruled out, the upside for Ant is going to be there. We know he's going to be guarded by Lou Dort. I know Ant can go off. He definitely can. But Dort, he's done a pretty decent job so far this season in guarding Ant. This is definitely a GPP spot where you can come down to Ant over Shea. But really, the main guys you're going to probably want to look to is going to be Cat, Rudy Gobert. I know we've done okay guarding going up against them since we played them. And Cat, 36 minutes, 38.25 fantasy points in that last game going up against us. And then Rudy himself, I want to say he had a bad game as well. 33 minutes, 31.5 fantasy points. One of these two bigs should be able to go off. You got Jalen Williams out here trying to guard Karl-Anthony Towns, and he's giving up the size, but he's just been trying to play him physical. If Minnesota actually just goes ahead and uses their force, play big like they are, they will be able to give OKC the business if they actually want to. Game should be close, pretty tight game, expecting it, but SGA will be the main play that I want to get to. And then you can mess with Chet. Been playing pretty aggressive over his last couple games. Detroit game, only 23 minutes. I'll toss this one out the window. But since playing that game against the Spurs, going up against Wemby might have woken up something in Chet. Last game against Minnesota, 33 minutes, dropped 30.75 fantasy points. But really, the shot attempts, they've just been down. But over the last 3 games, he's looking to take a shot. I imagine that OKC is going to want to come out and get their get back after losing in poor fashion against Detroit yesterday. So Chet, 7.5, the upside should definitely be there for him, and I do like it. The Los Angeles Lakers going up against Houston. As long as Anthony Davis and LeBron James are in, I don't mind either one of these guys. Look at the ownership to see which one you want to actually take. AD going up against Şengün should be a pretty good matchup, and I do like the upside for AD. As long as he's not going to be hampered by that Achilles, should be safe. I'm going to say should, but opposing centers, they've had some pretty decent games going up against him. And AD, he looks like he's back in that scoring mode and really just been pretty aggressive over his last couple games. Upside is there for him. The Houston Rockets, I do not doubt that this will be a good game. We do know that LeBron, Dillon Brooks, the whole thing. They, LeBron, reason why Dillon Brooks out of Memphis, so on and so forth. So I do like the upside here. 27 minutes in that last game going up against them. 27 fantasy points. They lost pretty bad in that fashion, 94 to 128. So the upside is definitely there for LeBron James and Anthony Davis. But if I had to take one between the two, it would be AD. D'Lo, Austin Reeves. The way D'Lo's been playing over his last couple games, kid's been balling. I will continue to ride that hot hand with D'Lo. 7K, love it. Love the upside for him here in the spot. Just there's nothing more that you can honestly say right there. Everyone else over here on the Lakers, unless one of these two big main guys misses, I have really no interest in Vando, Rui, Taurean Prince. All those guys are all GPP fillers if you find yourself going there. Other than that, it'll be D'Lo, Anthony Davis would be the main two guys I would look to. Unless someone, Anthony Davis or LeBron James misses, I'm not going to pay attention to Vando, Rui, or Taurean Prince. Over here on the Houston side, Fred VanVleet, Şengün would be the main two guys I want to go to. Upside for either one of these guys, this matchup should be there. We have not had a big Şengün game in the last couple of games, but opposing centers, even though Anthony Davis, he's great in everything that he does, centers have actually been able to put in the work and give them the business. Last game going up against the Los Angeles Lakers, if we could find it, 34 minutes, he dropped 55.75 fantasy points in that game. That is not the last game. That can't be because I just looked at a different one. That must have been a different game. Hold on. Last game for 31 minutes. He dropped 45 in that one. 97, 55. Either way, Şengün, he's had some pretty decent games going up against the Lakers. I love the upside for him here. 8,700. That's a little bit too cheap for me in my eyes for him. And then Freddie V, he really hasn't had a big pop game over the last couple games that he's had. I'm not scared of D'Angelo Russell defense at all. 40 minutes against the Lakers last time, 39.25 fantasy points. And the game before that, 40 minutes, 43 fantasy points. This could be one of those games where we actually see him light it up from three. He's been so cold from three over his last couple games, but really great bounce back spot. Again, I'm not scared of D'Lo, not scared of Austin Reeves. This should be one of those games where they lean on their studs in this, and that's going to be between Şengün and Freddie V, if I had to guess. Outside of that, GPP option in Dillon Brooks. We know the narrative. We know how he is. The dude, just look at the picture. He's staring into your soul. Upside definitely there for him, but not a must for me at all. Orlando taking on Dallas. I have no interest really in Orlando. Too many mouths to feed. The upside could be there for Wendell Carter Jr. as long as he actually gets his burn and run. I only played 23 minutes yesterday. Pretty sure that they were just saving him for the back end of this back-to-back. Outside of that, everyone else's GPP options. If Markelle Fultz misses, that's going to boost players like France and Paolo for me. Other than that, I'm not going to be too interested there. Suggs, always going to be a GPP option. We do know that it's a mixing pot on what we can get for Suggs. If he's locked in, he's locked in, but I can see himself getting into foul trouble out there trying to guard Luka or anyone out there. And then over here on the other side in Dallas, main player is just going to be Luka, be the main one I want to take. Other than that, everyone else, all GPP options. It's the Luka Doncic show, and it's not even close. Actually, Luka's my main set I want to get to today anyway. Minnesota taking on Denver, more just from a fan perspective. I think this is going to be a decent game just to watch. I kind of don't have any interest in getting any of the studs, but if I had to guess, I would take the Joker over Giannis from this one. And then over here from the from the Milwaukee side, Dame, he's looking pretty decent. 52 fantasy points in that last game, playmaking very well. And I do expect as long as they incorporate Doc Rivers' offensive scheme more and more, we're going to see those assists for Dame kind of just stay right around that range. He does like to use his star players pretty well, especially pick and roll, things like that. Giannis, 56.5 fantasy points, 30 points in that last game. Upside definitely will be there for him in the matchup. But if I had to take anything from here, it would be the Joker. And you can mess with GPP options and Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., or Aaron Gordon. But the main one I want to get to would be the Joker. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me. Hopefully you guys got a little something out of this video. If you guys did, talk to me down in the comment section. Other than that, check for all the content. We'll be posted on the Patreon as soon as I can get it out. Waiting for more props to be added to the board over here on Prize Picks. Like I was saying, in regards to building out your slip, if I was to build anything over here, Vassell, 4 assists, Kyle Kuzma, 7.5 rebounds, Tyus Jones. Right now I got him at the 21.5 points and assists. Good luck to you guys. If you guys do play anything, I will get this game stack. I will post it and have it up on the Patreon and on Twitter. Check those down in the description below. Peace.